two men with a sniper rifle turned Washington, D.C. into their own gruesome human shooting gallery. Dubbed the Beltway Snipers by the press, John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo would hold the nation's capital hostage for 23 days. They formed the classic older man and younger man serial killing team. Born John Allen Williams, Muhammad had joined the Black Nation of Islam, and in October 2001, at the age of 40, changed his name to John Allen Muhammad. Muhammad found Malvo at a homeless shelter and took the young teen to his house. He had lost his own children in a custody battle and now had a surrogate son, someone he could father, someone he could mentor. Only this mentoring was about depraved indifference to human life. In fact, it was their great distance from their victims that would add a new twist to the usual serial murder team.
The Beltway killings were completely different, whether you want to believe they're politically motivated, whether they're religiously motivated, and they had planned to just start targeting people and just start killing them. And it wasn't for the personal contact or the personal control over somebody like you see with so many of these people. It was reaching out from a distance, reaching out literally and touching someone, where they were shooting them from a distance and killing them. They don't even see their work close up. So that's a little bit different breed of animal.
Muhammad and Malvo's trek of death began in Tacoma, Washington, where, according to the Seattle Times newspaper, they practiced their sniper skills on the firing range of a gun store known as Bullseye Shooter Supply. Their first kill came in Montgomery, Alabama, when Claudine Parker was shot in a liquor store holdup. Their serial killing began in earnest on October 2nd, when, in the span of 20 hours, Muhammad and Malvo shot 6 people in Montgomery County, Maryland. All were killed with what would become the Beltway Snipers' trademark MO and signature, lying in wait and killing their victims at a distance with a single round from a Bushmaster XM-15, the perfect sniper rifle.
What I think is interesting again with the Beltway Snipers, and it was in the area around Washington, again you have a pair of individuals, one person more dominant than the other, but you have a desire for a kind of anonymous crime. The victims and the killers were not only were they not connected in any specific way that they knew each other, but they were disconnected by a great deal of physical space. By killing them from a distance, you not only removed a lot of the danger of apprehension, but you also removed any up close and personal connection to the victim.
Muhammad and Malvo were cowards who staked out places where people shopped, gas stations, convenience stores, on streets where they walked. The only purpose was to terrorize, create a panic. Their tactic worked. Fear shot through the communities of Montgomery County and throughout the nation's capital. Schools went into lockdown. Muhammad and Malvo widened their range, and the real plan behind their killings began to unfold. On October 7th, after Iran Brown, a 13-year-old schoolboy, was wounded as he arrived at school, police found a tarot card with the note, "Dear policeman, I am God." Over the next 15 days, with another 5 people shot and killed, their plan became clear in long, rambling messages to the police. A ransom demand of $10 million to free the nation's capital from the terror of the Beltway snipers.
The Beltway snipers began with a profit motive. They had decided to extort $10 million from the authorities. First, they killed 5 people at random in the D.C. area in October 2002, and then they intended to stop and negotiate with Chief Moose for the money. So Malvo, the younger of the 2 killers, called the tip hotline. Unfortunately, the operator had received 70,000 tips, unmanageable, unable to place in any priority level because of the vast number, and so hung up 4 times on Malvo, who got very frustrated by his inability to get through and instead killed more people. Rather than attempting to make money, they instead liked becoming celebrities. They enjoyed playing a cat and mouse game with the police and taunting them in some of their messages. I am God, meaning you'll never catch me. I'm superior to you.
But they weren't gods, and their tirade of terror would not last much longer. The police now knew the make and model of the car, a blue Chevy Caprice. On October 24th, they found John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo sleeping in their car. At last, the nightmare was over. At trial, prosecutors introduced exhibits showing that Muhammad and Malvo planned to emulate the Islamic jihadists and terrorists of 9/11. One was a portrait of Saddam Hussein labeled as a protector. Another was a father and son portrait of Malvo and Muhammad with the words, "We will kill them all, jihad."
There are these cases where you find 2 perpetrators working together. There's a psychiatric term for this that sometimes fits. It's French, folie à deux, the folly of 2, the craziness of 2. And what I've found is that in some instances, you find this kind of circle the wagons mentality where you have a very influential offender and a very impressionable offender, the latter taken under the tutelage of the former, for example. Often somebody who's very needy, who wants or needs a father figure. And you find these 2 individuals who view the world from the perspective of their own little bubble, and they seem to have convinced each other that they need to kill, that they want people to suffer, and they feed each other's twisted perception and rationalize the murders. It's almost as if they are enveloped in this twisted worldview where their wish to kill, their need to kill, is insulated from the more common sense understandings that the rest of us have about why that would be so horrible.
At trial, Lee Boyd Malvo testified that the motive for their murders was political. Muhammad was going to use the $10 million to train an army of homeless young boys who would then spread out through the nation, terrorizing its cities and sending America into panic and chaos. A distorted worldview common to cults and among pairs of serial killers.
Everybody's familiar with cults, cult phenomena. we're used to thinking of cults as large groups of people who share a religious belief or a political belief. Well, in my mind, sometimes when you find pairs of killers, it's almost like a cult phenomenon where there's this narrow view of how the world works that's limited to this pair, these two people. It's very cult-like, but it's in the form of two people, not a large group of people. The psychology, in some ways, I think is very similar.
As for John Allen Muhammad and Lee Boyd Malvo, many states wanted them to stand trial, but Virginia and Maryland got the honors. In the fall of 2003, Muhammad and Malvo were each found guilty of murder in Virginia. Only Muhammad got the death penalty, having gained, for a moment, celebrity status.
And the celebrity function was carried out simply because their images were on the cover of all of our news and celebrity magazines around the country. They became big shots. They were the national anti-heroes that they had hoped to become.
In the 21st century, there are more serial killers operating than ever. But with the saturation of crime dramas depicting these murderers, it seems impossible to draw the large media attention they once had. Indeed, Americans inured to the horrific acts of Jeffrey Dahmer and the impersonal sniper attacks of Muhammad and Malvo have become desensitized to what had once been sensational crimes.